I read 227 books in 2024, which is insane. I had a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I had a lot of pleasant surprises. These are books I either went into blind and they were just incredible, or books that I had mediocre expectations for and ended up absolutely loving. Let's go through my top 10. As always, I am going to do these from 10th to 1st. Number 10 was The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. I am not a romance girly, so I was really nervous going into this one that it was going to be too romance heavy. It is a romance, but it has this fantastic mystery going alongside it, some action, some adventure. I had a blast with this. Number 9 was Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by T. Kingfisher. I love T. Kingfisher, so I expected to like this, but it is YA and the premise seemed like it might be just a little bit silly and not 100% my speed, but it was T. Kingfisher, so I was going to read it anyway. I adored this. This was so good. It was an absolute blast, so much better than I expected. And, you know, I make sourdough, but my sourdough is nothing like the sourdough in this book. I'm looking at you, Bob. Number 8 was Long Live Evil. I expected to like this with the premise of basically falling into your own fantasy book. I loved it. I didn't like it. I loved it. Number 7, Dreadful. I cannot find my copy of this, but I loved this book. I went into it kind of expecting it to maybe be a little cheesy, a little corny, and it was, but somehow in an amazing way. Obsessed. 6, Voyage of the Damned. A lot of people did not like this. I absolutely loved it, but I went into it blind. I knew nothing other than it was a murder mystery set on a ship with fantasy elements. I was here for it. I adored it. I loved the characters. I have talked about this book ad nauseum. I'm going to shut up, but I loved it. Number 5, Alone with You in the Ether. I love Olivia Blake. I love her writing, but I'm not a romance girly, so I did not expect to love this as much as I did. This is not romance. It's a love story. Number 4, The Book of Doors. I got an arc of this, and I'm always really nervous getting debut author fantasy, but the premise seemed cool. I was nervous. It was a debut. It was spectacular. I love it. I will always recommend it. Number 3, How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. I heard that this was very crass and had pop culture in fantasy. All of that is true. I thought that would mean I wouldn't really like it that much. Nope, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Ate it up. Cannot wait for the next book in the series. Number 2, another one I have talked about so much, The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. Again, not a romance girly, but the fantasy elements were such a huge part of the book that I didn't mind how much romance is in this book. I loved it. And my number 1 pleasant surprise, I went into this blind because I was told to, and now I tell everybody to go into this book blind, Starter Villain by John Scalzi. Read by Will Wheaton. Do the audiobook if you like audiobooks, or even if you don't like audiobooks, try the audiobook. Try an immersive read of this. Spectacular